Apple's arrival as Formula One's newest broadcaster is going to be a game changer, and not just for those in America. At first glance, it may seem like a straightforward deal, an Apple TV showing F1 in the USA for the next 5 years. But it goes far beyond that in potentially revolutionising how fans watch races around the world. And there'll be changes that could surprise you, as we'll explain later. It's opened the door for new opportunities in watching the action, when you want it, where you want it, and how you want it. There's also the prospect for new technology to be introduced as a result that makes F1's broadcast better than ever. So let's unpick what this means for F1's coverage in the short term, and look at where this could all go in the future. Apple has paid handsomely for the exclusive rights to show F1 in the USA from 2026 to 2030. The deal is said to be worth around $750 million over the next 5 years, which is roughly double what previous broadcaster ESPN was paying. It's no wonder that F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali admitted that financially, we are very happy about this. Sure, the figures are eye-watering, but let's not forget that the Apple F1 movie has grossed almost $650 million so far, on its way to becoming the most successful sports film in history. While the cash is good, F1 sees much bigger benefits from what Apple can offer in helping make further progress in breaking into the US market. American fan interest increased under ESPN, with audiences regularly topping 1 million viewers after many years where very few in the country cared at all. Fans still needed to pay for either a cable TV or streaming service though, and the coverage would sometimes change between different channels. However, amid the rapidly changing behaviour of F1's fan base, having the sport somewhere that was not always easy to find was far from ideal. And this is where Apple could potentially change things, because its ecosystem armoury offers opportunities for F1 to get in front of many more millions of eyeballs. The majority of Apple TV's estimated 45 million global subscribers are based in the USA, and it's one of the fastest growing streaming services there. And this will not just be limited to pushing things in the USA, because Apple is a global company that has a footprint everywhere. There are nearly 300 million iPhone users in the USA, but an estimated 1.5 billion around the world. That's a lot of people who could find information and entertainment much easier to access than ever before. Apple has the ability to put F1 bang in the centre of devices, with notifications when races are on, or apps that deliver you an F1 experience like no other. Apple wants to make the most of its deal and pushing the F1 product across all its platforms, and the opportunities could be endless. The company has talked about giving F1 a mega profile in all its Apple stores, just as it did with the F1 movie. Apple Sport could bring fans live leaderboards and lock screen widgets that are tailored to their favourite drivers or teams. Apple News can be ramped up for the latest gossip on deep dives on the F1 driver market. Apple Maps could deliver augmented reality track flyovers for virtual tours of all F1's travel. And Apple Music can open the door for F1 playlists and podcasts, with Apple Fitness Plus perhaps syncing workout sessions to qualifying tension. Apple's Senior Vice President of Service, Eddie Q, says the growth opportunities are exponentially huge, so it's little wonder that F1 sees Apple's arrival as a way into many more households. F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali calls it a big step change in F1's approach to the media landscape. While Apple has bold plans for its future F1 coverage, it's not going to run before it can walk when it comes to the actual broadcasts. So don't expect the coverage to be radically different from the regular international feed when its deal begins in 2026. While it has not gone official with its production and product plans for 2026, we understand that Apple will be taking the regular international feed. So in terms of commentators and pundits, it will be using the F1 TV roster. So that means the likes of Alex Jakes, Jolyon Palmer, and Alex Brundle in English language from the commentary box, plus punditry from those such as ex-IndyCar driver James Hinchcliffe and former F1 strategist Ruth Buscombe. There's also going to be a Spanish language feed as well, and we hear that there will be an option to switch to the Sky commentary feed if viewers prefer. For Apple, it's more important to get its F1 package up and running with some known quantities from the start, but the race understands the door is open to experiment a bit with a commentary team and pundits from year 2, and then even potentially do its own thing entirely from year 3. There is likely to be one area where Apple may want to help make a difference immediately though, and that is when it comes to what we all see at home in the live feed. Apple pushed a lot when it came to finding new angles and using better cameras during the filming of the F1 movie over the past 2 years, and it's clear that it wants to see if some of its own technology can be used in live broadcasts. The F1 movie took things to a new level when it came to capturing onboard action. There were new pan-tilt zoom cameras that allowed for dynamic movement and were used regularly throughout the F1 film. But Apple also worked on the smallest movable 6K cameras, which helped take the viewer inside the cockpit for angles that we do not normally see. Plus it engineered a custom camera module using parts from an iPhone 15 Pro that fitted inside the current F1 onboard camera mounts, but offer the colour grading possibilities that are not available in the normal broadcast. Thinking more left field, What about the possibility of F1 races with live haptics if watched on a phone? Those not familiar with haptics, which is the use of vibrations through digital devices to increase immersion, may not know that Apple produced a trailer for the F1 movie last year featuring this technology. Watched on a mobile device, it vibrated in time with engine revs or car movements to deliver something unique. Having something like this in live races would add a new dimension to following the action. Apple is certainly fired up about the ability to bring new ideas to the table, and any element it adds will be a big benefit to all viewers, not just those in the US. As F1's Chief of Media Rights Ian Holmes says, the deal is as much about experimenting with new types of technology as it is content. One interesting aspect about the deal is Apple appears to be taking a different approach to other broadcasters when it comes to the availability of F1 on its platforms. It's steering away from a policy of locking everything behind its paywall, even though Apple TV is a subscription platform. For example, it is embracing the premium F1 TV product as an added bonus rather than seeing it as a threat. Subscribe to Apple TV, where you get all its movies and shows like Ted Lasso, Silo and Slow Horses. And from 2026, you'll also get access to all F1 practices, qualifying sessions, sprints and races for no extra cost. However, a select number of races, suggested to be around 4 or 5 over the season, plus all practice sessions, will be made available free to watch on the Apple TV app for non-subscribers. The idea is clear in trying to draw people in with some free action, rather than keeping everything a closed shop for subscribers. This could prove to be a bigger benefit in driving new interest. Perhaps lessons have been learned from the way that Apple's exclusive deal with Major League Soccer appears not to have delivered the returns and viewership bonus hoped for. That model was based around a secondary subscription that hid it behind an extra paywall, and the interest has not been as great as many hoped. One critical aspect of the F1 deal was in ensuring the continuity of the F1 TV platform. Rather than Apple seeing F1 TV as a threat and making it unavailable in its market, as is the case for UK fans who have no means to subscribe, it has been viewed as something central to the F1 offering in the USA. So much so, in fact, that from 2026, it will be free to any Apple TV subscriber. If Apple's current US subscription price of $12.99 per month continues, then that does indeed look good value for those fans who currently subscribe to F1 TV's premium service, which costs $16.99 per month or $129.99 per year. It's certainly cheaper than what UK-based fans have to pay to watch F1 on Sky. However, this may prove to be a disappointment for any US fan who only subscribed to F1 TV's Pro service, which was $10.99 per month or $84.99 for the year. That Pro service is being discontinued, so anyone who wants to watch F1 will have to pay more and subscribe to Apple TV instead, even if they do not want any of its other shows. What we don't know yet is how the F1 TV platform will get integrated with Apple. For example, if you want to watch a specific driver's onboard, will you be able to do that within Apple's own broadcast, or will there have to be a separate F1 TV element? For now, the arrangement between F1 and Apple is exclusively for the United States market and will run until the end of 2030. Doing anything in any other major market is impossible right now because a lot of these are already locked down with other deals. In the UK, for example, Sky's exclusive F1 deal runs until 2029, while Sky Germany and Sky Italy's contracts run until 2027. However, with Apple TV being a worldwide platform and its presence being just as big around the world as it is in the USA, it would be logical to suggest that the next step could be a global deal. It may not be a coincidence that the Apple USA deal runs until the end of 2030, which fits in quite well with when other major markets' contracts are up for renewal. While neither F1 nor Apple have admitted directly that a global rights deal is the ultimate target, the messaging from both is clear that all options are on the table right now. In fact, Domenicali hinted that other broadcasters now had a bigger fight on their hands when it came to sorting out future deals. He's talked of the need to consider that F1 is in the global world, and that it is important to think big about the future. But Apple's Senior Vice President of Services, Q, does not want Apple to get ahead of itself just yet. He wants F1 to be a forever deal, but knows that it needs to make business sense for Apple, and that will mean its coverage boosting subscriber numbers for Apple TV. If that happens, and the growth becomes a blueprint that can work in other markets, then the next stop really could be the world.